And we thank you for counting down to the new year with First Alert Weather Extra. Tania, exciting 2025. It's crazy.
I know. This year's flown by
Yeah.
and so much has happened.
I know.
So I think this is the perfect time, Wes, to recap all the major weather events and phenomena that's happened in 2024.
What a year. It just flies by. We start talking about these weather events. It seems like it happened yesterday, but you know what's interesting is 25 years ago, Y2K, I've talked about that, a big weather event happened. We're going to tell you a little bit more about that night. Kind of interesting. That's coming up later in the show. But right now, what an interesting forecast. You know what? We need to have a little talk here with 2025 on this weather.
We sure
right?
do. It needs to do better.
Yeah, because we've got some really cold weather in that long-range forecast. In fact, some new data just in. We're going to be showing you some of those low temperatures projected. But here is our First Alert Weather Extra end of the year countdown, and we are closing in now. T-minus 5 hours, 29 minutes, and now just under 6 seconds. So as we count down to the new year, we do have tonight the temperatures cooling off into the 40s for the overnight hours. And one thing we are going to be watching for tonight, in addition to that drop in temperatures, will be some windy conditions. And today, I noticed Gadsden, actually not Gadsden, Anniston, we had a wind of 38 mile per hour. 38 mile per hour wind, guys. It's almost tropical storm force. It was incredibly blustery out there today. And that's because another cold front is moving in, and that wind is going to add a chill out there tonight. You can see right now we do have winds out of the northwest gusting still over 20 miles per hour. So plan for cold and breezy conditions to end the year. We will have freezing conditions tomorrow night and actually a chilly day tomorrow. I know we're talking about, you know, highs maybe in the low 50s, but for much of the day it's going to be a struggle to break out the 40s for some areas. And then we're looking ahead to the weekend because there's a possibility that we could see maybe a brief wintry mix. It's actually the next big thing, the next chance for precipitation. Until we get there, we'll have freezing conditions during the morning, and afternoon highs will be very seasonal as we kick off the new year. Arctic blast still on the table for later on next week. And actually, I want to show you this, some of the new long-range data. This just in some of the forecast temperatures. Now, again, keep in mind what you're looking at are forecast temperatures projected by the American model. This is not wind chill. Watch this after the 10th. Look at that. That is showing -2 degrees at Birmingham, -8 degrees near Muscle Shoals, and -19 degrees at Nashville. Again, this is model data, but you know, we saw it yesterday. We've been seeing it last week. I mean, it's just been showing up. We're seeing a lot of consistency that we could have a significant blast of cold air coming up here in that long-range forecast. So that's what we're tracking for you as we move ahead, and we'll have more coming up right here on First Alert Weather Extra. And starting tomorrow, the Jimmy Hill Mission, in partnership with the City of Birmingham, will be opening a warming station until Friday as temperatures begin to fall. They open at 6 o'clock and they'll close at 7 a.m. the following morning. A shuttle service will also be available from the main entrance of Lynn Park for those without transportation or have mobility challenges.
Well, Wes, the National Weather Service confirming 13 tornadoes hit our state last Saturday, with potentially more to come as they continue surveying the damage. And as we head into 2025, this past weekend's tornado outbreak may have pushed 2024 into the top spot for most tornadoes in a single year. And that's according to the Storm Prediction Center. Preliminary data showing that there have actually been 1,855 reported tornadoes this year alone, likely passing 2004, which had 1,842 tornadoes, reported 2008 and 2011. Records have been kept since 1950. And speaking of 2024, we're taking a look back at the most notable weather events across our state. Meteorologist Matt Daniel and Megan Thomas join us as we do a Weather Extra Rewind.
So as 2024 comes to an end, us weather nerds wanted to do a deep dive in some of the most notable temperatures, times of the year, and events. So we're going to start off with the warmest days in 2024. And in Birmingham, do you remember this? June 25th and 26th hit 101. It was a record for that day.
I may remember it, but I try to forget about it.
We try to forget about the heat around here, right? We hit 101 in Tuscaloosa that same day, June 25th, and then June 26th got to 99 in Anniston. So then the opposite, we looked at the coldest mornings across central Alabama. Birmingham got down to 10 degrees January 17th and the 21st. Interestingly enough, we could probably break those records in the next week or two. So that's going to be interesting to look forward to. And then Tuscaloosa, January 17th, saw 11 degrees. And then Anniston, early morning on January 17th, got to 10 degrees as well. Now we wanted to look at the rainiest months, okay? And this was record breaking. I mean, this year was interesting. Specifically, Birmingham, 8.88 inches in July. And then Tuscaloosa saw a little over 8 inches in January. Isn't that interesting? I asked you, man, I was like, can you make sure that I saw that correctly?
It was right.
It was right. We saw over 8 inches of rain last January in 2024. And then Anniston saw 10 inches of rain in the month of July. And then we broke those records. If you remember, the driest months in October this year. Birmingham saw that 1/4 of an inch on that last day.
Yeah,
Yes, we picked up that 1/4 of an inch on that last day. And then Tuscaloosa, same deal, 6/10 of an inch. And then Anniston, you got a trace of rain, not even enough to measure in the month of October. So those are some of those notable numbers. And then Matt, we are going to dive back into some of the most notable events as we headed into 2024 into 2025.
Yeah, and just a note, by the way, Anniston, that was your second driest October on record. 9th driest October on record for Tuscaloosa.
Woo, all right.
So, just wanted to add that little tidbit. Yeah. So we had some severe events. We had several first alert weather days, keep you warned. And one of those severe weather issues we had was back on April 2nd of 2024. Tornadoes in Chilton and Coosa County, kind of isolated, a little bit of tornado action in the southern portion of that state that slid into parts of Coosa County. And then on May 27th, 2024, I would probably say this was one of the more substantial events because we had a line of storms sweep through. And this was a damaging wind event. It went from Bibb and Hale into Tuscaloosa, Jefferson, Shelby, St. Clair. We had winds gusting up to 60 to 70 miles per hour. So many power outages. One person died in Jefferson County from a fallen tree. And we also recorded an EF1 tornado in Cherokee County. So pretty impressive with that. And then back in June 5th of 2024, we had an EF1 in Winfield in the Fayette County area. And then don't forget the tropics. Hurricane season was really active.
It was very active.
Very active. And we were fortunate because a lot of these storms ended up to our east or well to our west. But Francine did produce some rain and wind that also resulted in a lot of power outages. And we can't forget what just recently happened, Megan.
Happened this past weekend. December the 28th and the 29th, that line of severe storms that also spawned, as of now, they're still researching it more, but early we've talked about 13 at least tornadoes.
Over a dozen. And that doesn't even include what happened up in North Alabama into the Tennessee area as well. So let's talk about the more fun, interesting events, shall we? I remember January. It's kind of weird because we're entering our January where it looks like it could be somewhat like that.
Yes.
But this is January 15th to 16th. We had a first alert weather day for some cold temperatures, and we had a little bit of mixture of ice and snow. And this was Jasper, our camera there back then, about a year ago. It was kind of a mess.
And wanted to note, I did some digging, talked to the National Weather Service as well, just to verify my numbers. And the last time Birmingham, so this was Jasper, this picture you're watching, but Birmingham, the last time we saw 1 inch of snow in the Birmingham airport was back in December the 8th of 2017, where we saw 4 inches. We've gotten close. We've seen 0.6, 0.7, but 1 inch or greater. It's not till 2017. So could we be due for it?
I think we are due for something at some point. And the other really cool thing that's super rare.
This was incredible.
The Northern Lights, not just once. We had opportunity to see it twice back in May 11th and October 10th. And we had so many viewers send us photos. And they're just so beautiful.
It was incredible.
Yeah, incredible to see. And let's not forget, not too long ago in November, the ground was shaking,
I'm
Megan.
telling you, crazy. A small earthquake this past November.
Yeah, in Walker County, a 2.4. And in those highlighted areas on that map, those were spots of people that reported a little bit of shaking. It was a very small earthquake, no big issues, but hey, it was notable.
Earthquake is an earthquake. So not only did we cover a lot of the most notable numbers, but a lot of notable events. So cheers to 2025.
Let's hope for some good weather.
Yes.
All right, coming up on Weather Extra, we take you across the country to significant weather events that are happening or that happened in 2024. Stay with us. All right, as we count down 5 hours, just over 5 hours away from the arrival of the new year, tonight the temperature's tumbling down into the 40s. By midnight, we're at 42 degrees, but no precipitation out there. A few clouds, still breezy, so the wind is going to add a chill tonight. Overnight lows dropping into the mid to upper 30s for tomorrow night. Expect lows in the 20s, so a widespread freeze coming back. A big first alert by Thursday morning, and the possibility of the deep freeze coming up for later next week. We'll have that all in the 10-day forecast as we continue. Tania.
Well, Wes, we want to take our viewers across the country where we've witnessed the most notable weather events of the year, starting with Hurricane Beryl, which was the second named storm of the Atlantic hurricane season. It went from a tropical depression to a tropical storm and into a hurricane all within 24 hours. Beryl then went on to become the earliest Category 5 storm to develop, something that's hardly seen before the month of September. It brought catastrophic winds and life-threatening storm surge to the Windward Islands before making landfall in Texas. And Hurricane Helene following after, as it made landfall in Florida's Big Bend as a powerful Category 4 hurricane, moving through the Appalachian Mountains and leaving trails of destruction. Communities are still rebuilding today from the aftermath of this storm, with more than 230 fatalities, catastrophic flooding across North Carolina, and much of the Appalachian brought devastation to homes and businesses. It's the deadliest hurricane to strike the United States since Hurricane Katrina in 2005. And just 2 weeks later, Hurricane Milton impacting the state of Florida as it made landfall as a major Category 3 hurricane near Siesta Key. It became one of the most intense hurricanes on record in the Atlantic Basin, and it underwent rapid intensification, going from a Category 1 hurricane to a Category 5 hurricane in just 24 hours. The National Weather Service in Miami reporting they broke a record for the most tornado warnings in one day, with 55 being issued. Wes?
Yeah, and across the country, Tania, a severe weather outbreak over the Memorial Day weekend. It left a trail of destruction after the tornadoes. The hail, the damaging winds were reported across several states. Again, that back from Memorial Day weekend, the worst of the outbreak. It happened, if you recall, during the overnight hours of May the 25th, when at least 20 tornadoes were seen on radar or spotted by persons. And damage reports came in from Texas all the way to actually here in Alabama. These damages occurred on May 27th when a storm system brought severe weather across central Alabama and two brief tornadoes, both EF1 to Cherokee and Randolph counties. There was one fatality reported because of these storms right here in Jefferson County.
And last but certainly not least, our solar system got in on the action too. More than 30 million people got the chance to see a total solar eclipse across 15 states. Do you remember that? The total solar eclipse began in Mexico and quickly moved northeast, bringing a stunning view from Texas all the way to New England. We were even able to see a partial eclipse right here in Alabama and other states in the south. We'll start making those preparations because the next best chance to see a total solar eclipse will be August 12th, 2045. Well, up next, we're recapping 2024's Moment of Science. We'll be right back.
And welcome back into First Alert Weather Extra. Here's a look at the 24-hour forecast taking us into the new year. And tonight, overnight lows will be in the mid to upper 30s. No precipitation. There's actually a few clouds, though, that may work in overnight. We got the clouds. Still kind of windy tonight. We'll have winds out in the northwest, so there will be a wind chill if you're heading out to celebrate the arrival of the new year. But tomorrow out the door in the morning, notice most areas still above freezing. There's some precipitation over Tennessee, maybe a few snow flurries. As for us here in Alabama, we do stay dry. But to the north over Tennessee there, you can see a little bit, a little clipper system there generating a few flurries. But for us, some sun and clouds and a cold day. We'll have highs in the low 50s, but for part of the day, those temperatures, it's going to be a struggle to break into the 50s, and then colder for tomorrow night and lows into the freezing range. Well, we're watching the weekend, and we've got models. They're going back and forth. They're doing that as always with winter precipitation. But here's what we know for the rest of this week. We're going to have some cold mornings coming up with freezing conditions Thursday morning, Friday morning in the freezing range, early Saturday, early Sunday. So Sunday morning, as we drop to freezing, we are going to start to see some moisture returning with the next system. Looks like an active southern jet's going to develop sort of a split flow pattern as we go into next week. We're going to have one system that moves in. We start to see that moisture build in across the region, and as the atmosphere starts to saturate, a lot of times you can get a little bit of sleet, maybe a little bit of rain kind of mixing. So that's why we're saying a wintry mix is possible, especially for areas to the north, but that will quickly transition over to a cold rain. Not expecting any accumulation issues. This is just system number one, quite possibly in that long range that we need to watch for maybe a little wintry precip. Down the road, it's going to get real cold after this. We're going to start to see some of that frigid Arctic air blasting in across the country, and we have some new data. This is the brand new model runs midday, and it's showing the possibility of temperatures in the negative range. I mean, we're talking record territory here. Some extreme cold is possible, and these numbers will probably change. I mean, we're looking out around the 10th, the 11th, the 12th, and even if they do change, we need to be prepared. Make sure everything is properly winterized. This is the kind of cold that can certainly, we're talking pipe bursting weather here. Very dangerous stuff. Maybe some single-digit low temperatures. Again, that would be coming up towards the end of next week. Notice how right now, I mean, we have highs in the 30s, but we need to watch for that possibility of some frigid weather. And of course, the big question is, will a storm system pop up in that general time frame? If that happens, again, there could be some winter issues, wintry weather issues that pop up in the long range. Just not seeing a clear signal of a system. There was around Thursday, Friday of next week. We're going to keep a watch out. Look like we might see a Gulf low, but we'll talk a little bit more about that coming up with Tania. But do you remember this? A powerful nor'easter brought a series of winter storms to the southeast on this day in 2000. Not only did it impact what's known as the Snow Bowl of 2000. That was the football game between Texas A&M and Mississippi State. It was Y2K year. It also brought snow right here in Alabama. I'll never forget looking out the window watching snowfall in Tuscaloosa. These pictures from the National Weather Service in Shreveport show the snowy event. And I always say, Tania, if you see a winter weather event where you have snow that is in the Shreveport area, many times that same type of winter storm is going to generate wintry precipitation across Alabama. Now, models have been going back and forth. You're going to talk a little bit more about next week because we're seeing more of we have an idea of Sunday and a Monday.
Yes.
But it's the middle and end of next week. We have a system. It shows up one day, it's gone the next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing that we're still trying to pinpoint. So you got to
Right.
keep checking in for updates. But taking you a little bit beyond the 7-day here, I want to start off with showing you some model comparisons of what this weekend could kind of pan out to look like. This is one of our models called the GFS model, and it's going to show you a little bit of wintry mix. Now, will we see that wintry mix here across central Alabama this weekend? Notice this is Sunday, 5 p.m. And some of our latest model runs are showing that wintry mix may just stay further north of central Alabama. But hey, if you have a trip to North Alabama, you might catch a little bit of rain, sleet, snow mixed in the atmosphere. But otherwise, we'll mainly see some wet weather overnight into your Sunday. Now, this is our GFS model showing all the way out to Wednesday of next week, and it shows maybe some wintry mix, maybe a little snow flurries around for middle of next week. This is January 8th, but will that happen because we're still so far out out? That's the question that we're going to be pinpointing over the next several days. So that's one model, and this one also showing January 10th that we could also see some more winter precipitation across our northern counties and the northern portions of the state. But then I take you to our European model. It doesn't go as far out, but it does give us an idea of what to expect this weekend. Here we are Sunday, 5 a.m. Notice that this model is not showing any wintry mix. It's showing just a little bit of rain Sunday, but a better chance of rain overnight into your Monday. And I'm not seeing much in the way of wintry precipitation. Maybe areas to the north, parts of Tennessee, North Georgia. But for us here, central Alabama, not looking very likely according to this model. So that's looking beyond the 7-day. The European model is not showing any winter precipitation Wednesday, January the 8th. But we'll keep you up to date and you'll be the first to know right here on Weather Extra. But the gift of knowledge can span from the general to the specific to just plain weird. Dan Smith takes us through this year's many moments of science.
A rhyming look back. Without further ado, it's the moment of science year in review. From woodchucks a-chucking to make their homesteads, to woodpeckers willingly bashing their heads.
Very small animals, they can withstand a much higher deceleration, so they come to a stop much more abruptly.
The roars of big cats, weird signals from space, to vampire bats on the treadmill they race.
Can we figure out if they're using protein based on that ratio between oxygen consumed and CO2 produced?
From the world's biggest genome to the smallest of particles, we've covered good science in several articles.
We thought we'd reach the upper end of what biology could do, but it seems biology is always throwing surprises at us, and it's really fun when you find them.
A spin of the cosmos for well-rounded knowledge, and perhaps too much math giving flashbacks to college.
1 + 1 is 2, 2 + 1 is 3, 3 + 2 is 5, and so on. For the second week in a row, do not panic, we're gonna walk you through this one. E = mc². That's it.
From Einstein's equations to termite invasions to St. Elmo's fire on special occasions.
The electric field gets so strong around the pointed mastheads of ships that it starts stripping the electrons away from the air molecules around it, leading to that corona discharge and glowing plasma.
A dash of honey, a pinch of salt, an attempt at egg cooked on the asphalt. One egg on the white sidewalk, a second on the blacktop, and third in a frying pan on the blacktop. The science of fear with nerves of steel, and blueberry colors not just in the peel.
If you rub the outside of the blueberry, then that sort of coating on the outside, that comes off, and that is epicuticular wax. And epicuticular just means epi, like outside of the cuticle.
Orbiting insects, backflipping ones too, and a musical Brutus whale makes its debut. From
Mode.
There you go. Put it in play mode.
5 hours.
All right, come on. All right, I'll just say something like, bundle up out there tonight. We're counting it down. We'll see you next year.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that.
Well, we'll see them tonight.
Oh, yeah. All right, we're counting down. A cold night, but almost a happy new year.
Yeah, and dry tonight. We'll have forecast updates first at 9. All right, let's see, what are we pulled up on? Is that the 7-day? Can you see a 7-day, 10-day? Something like that. All right, let's do this in 3. Uh-oh. Rolling? Okay, 3, 2. Hey there, everyone. First Alert meteorologist Tania Michelle here. Here's a look at that 10-day forecast. The one thing that I really want to point out is just how much colder it's going to be over the next several mornings. We'll see temperatures down near freezing, if not below freezing, over the next several nights through much of this week and into your weekend. A first alert for maybe some wintry mix, but definitely some rain Sunday and into your Monday. That greatest rain chance Monday morning is going to be a pretty messy commute. So check in for forecast updates throughout the weekend with Matt and Lauren Linehan. But notice, yes, will be below freezing throughout the weekend. We warm up slightly Monday. Although you're seeing temperatures in the 50s, it's only going to plummet throughout the day. So that's the high earlier in the day than it will be for your late Monday afternoon. So a cold Monday evening, cold Monday night and into your early Tuesday. Those temperatures down below freezing early Tuesday morning, and then in the 30s for high temperatures Tuesday through next Friday. That's a look at that 10-day forecast. Get updates on WBRC 6 News.